Welcome to the Beyond Jiu-Jitsu Podcast. This is episode 107. Today, we're talking about train smarter, not harder.
Or train harder, not smarter.
We'll see. My name's Kieren Lefebvre. I'm joined by my co-host, Adam Childs, black belt, owner, operator, Alliance Sydney.
Wicka, what? Forgot your coffee. How are you, Kieren? You'll be
good.
better once you get that in your face.
Mate, I need coffee deep in my face.
Why? You didn't even train last night.
Yeah, well, fuck. Call out, son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly did not train last night, and I don't think I'll be training today either.
Yeah,
or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe Friday, we'll see.
Quite sore your little back.
Yeah, no, my neck. I've got a neck issue. This is like, I mean, I've been really lucky with injuries.
You're clearly not training smarter.
I'm not. I've been very lucky with injuries over the last 2 years that I've been training.
2 years.
By the time this releases.
Is it in your calendar, is it?
Yeah, 2 years.
I bet it, well, actually, I know it's in your calendar.
It is in my calendar.
Yeah.
You know what? It's September 2020.
I was talking to who was I talking to? Someone in the gym the other day, and you came up and I was like, I said,
I'm blushing.
I said, Kieran's super organized, whether it's influenced from his time in the military or not. But I said, Kieran's entire life is in a Google Calendar.
Yes.
He can tell you what he was doing on 2 p.m. Friday 7 years ago or whatever. You know, it'll be in his calendar.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. It stretches back at least 7 years. Yeah. Yeah, I actually can.
I like how Kieran's not even like, he's just like, yeah. Like, what are we chuckling about? I don't get this.
Yeah, straight up. I'm not kidding.
It's like I said to, we have this new guy in the gym, Mazen. He's a young guy, like 18-ish,
Yeah, like Mazen.
I think.
He's cool, yeah.
He's just moved over from Egypt with his family.
Oh, cool.
And his English is really good. So I tried to make a joke with him. And the reason I'm pointing out his English is really good is because there was no lost in translation, right? And I just jokingly was like, hey, Mazen, man, like, I'm convinced that it's a big conspiracy. All you Egyptians, you actually know how the pyramids were built. You just don't share it with the rest of the world. And he just looks at me and he's like, no, man, I don't know.
He does know. He fucking does know. You're onto him.
Yeah, that's what someone who knows would say.
He's like, I'm not going to look at him the same. Mazen, you have secrets, my man. Mazen's cool.
Yeah, but your neck's a bit jacked.
Yeah, dude, it's fucked. So I saw Nick, the physio, and he said...
I think we shouted him out the other episode.
We did. I told him that we shouted him out.
Oh, did you?
He's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
He was unfazed.
Cool.
Fuck you, Nick.
He'll care now.
Yeah, you bastard. No, Nick's cool. So I saw Nick, and I'm worried about it because it feels deep. You know what I mean? It's not muscular. It feels like when I was explaining to people, I'm like, dude, it feels...
It's in my spine.
It feels like it's in my spine, like it's joint related. And that's exactly what he said. He said, yeah, it's joint related. You have clearly an inflamed neck joint, and it could be some form of inflamed disc. But, don't stress about it. It's not bad enough that I want you to get a scan. We're just going to work on it, blah, blah, blah. And I was asking about training, and he's the type of guy that, man, he'll let you train on pretty much anything. He's like, yeah, just go for it. Fuck it. Like, as long as it's not over a 4 or a 5 in pain, you're good to go. Like, he's really good like that. And he said, for this one, no training.
Yeah.
So it's dude, like the other night, I probably shouldn't admit this on a podcast, but I smacked some codeine just to go to sleep. And
is codeine legal?
Yeah, but only prescription. But I have like a leftover prescription.
Yeah.
It's probably expired, man. I don't give a fuck. Whatever. So I was smacking like codeine down and man, it's probably one of the most, no, I'm going to say it's the most painful injury I've had from jiu-jitsu thus far, like hands down. Yeah, it is the most painful. It's fucked.
I don't know if you remember a little while back, I had, was it, I can't remember how I did it, but remember I had this weird lower back pinch thing, and I remember I probably would have mentioned
deadlift Ollie or something.
Yeah, I think that's where it came
you tried
from.
to drag him.
Yeah, like, when you get too close to the wall or something, and maybe you're trying to pass someone's guard and you just kind of grab their ankles and drag them. Yeah. And like my lower, I was like, oh, I'm out, or whatever. And
old man Adam throwing out his back.
I was in so much pain. Like I couldn't, actually it wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't that bad during the day and whatever. But when I would lie down to go to bed, like I couldn't sleep. It would wake me up in the middle of the night. Yeah. And I would be, at 3 a.m. on the floor next to my bed trying to get in a comfortable position or roll on a trigger ball or something.
Yeah, dude.
And I remember it was so strong. I also had leftover endone and oxy.
Oh, you
and
got
codeine.
the good stuff. Here
Yeah.
I'm fucking bragging about fucking Panadine Ford. You're
Yeah,
yeah, oxy, fucking CBD oil.
Yeah. So I had all this stuff left over from the surgeries I had at the end of last year.
Yeah.
That, post surgery the pain wasn't that bad. I don't think I even took Panadol or like your regular over the counter paracetamol, aspirin for international listeners. Like anyway, so I had these left over, and I remember my back was so sore, even taking endone and codeine in that.
Still bad.
I still couldn't sleep.
That's bad.
And when you have that sort of pain that you can't, it's like a toothache, right? Like there's nothing you can do that
Just
can
won't go
get
away.
to it. Whereas it's muscular, of course you can have very bad muscular pain, but sometimes you can find a position or a stretch or something that buys you some relief.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm in
a lot of pain.
You're on the codeine.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's all good, baby.
You got a little bit of time before class starts. You'll be fine.
But fuck off. I'm gonna look to see if I can train Friday and probably next week. But I'm regardless of whether or not it's still there next week, I'm coming in. I'm gonna drill. I'm gonna. Was
this immediately after the wrestling class?
So I think that it inflamed it. So I've had I think this has been a progressive thing. Like I've had, a couple niggles in the neck, like, oh fuck, it's a bit sore, but it's fine. Just roll it out sort of thing. But after the wrestling class, it got way worse. And then after the lunch class on Monday, for whatever reason, like I didn't even do anything in the lunch class. So just regular rolls, like nothing crazy. My neck didn't get cranked. I didn't get subbed or anything like that. But after that, it was like the pain just went to a 10. And I came to the evening class and it was still there. And I was like, nah, I can't. This is fucked. This is really, really bad. So I don't know, between like Thursday and the Monday, something happened around that time where it was just like, nah, this is real bad. And now it's hammering me. So
yeah, right.
Anyway.
Well, you should probably train smarter.
I should. And speaking of training smarter, I did want to share a story about one of a brand new white belt that just joined our gym.
Before we go into the anecdote, just to round off the intro. So we're essentially that's the old saying, right? People say, train smarter, not harder. And that's what we're pretty much going to banter on about today because I don't think it's as simple as that. And, before we started recording, Kieren was like, okay, well, I'm going to disagree with you. And I was like, well, good, because you're a moron.
Yeah, well, fucking come at me, bro.
Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go with your little bitch neck.
Yeah,
I'll take you.
You would take me. You take me everywhere. Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, but anyway, this story's funny.
Yeah. So, all right. Lucas shout out to Lucas. He's a brand new white belt, young guy. I don't know how old he's, but I don't know. He's a teenager, I think, early 20s, something like that. Young dude, whatever. It was his third session training. And he just so happened to be partnered up with me. It's the first time he's seen me, first time he's met me or whatever. I'm like, oh, cool. I knew he's new. So like, oh, how long have you been training? Oh, he's like, oh, this is my third session. And then he goes to me, I shit you not, he goes, don't go easy on me. Like, I don't want you to go easy on me.
Because he had said to me, right? That's not the end of Kieran's story, by the way. He had said to me, because in his first ever class, I wouldn't say he was thrown in the deep end, but it was maybe more of a physically demanding class than his second class. Because his second class, it was just a lot more drilling, and I think maybe there was like one specific round at the end. Because as you would know, every class is different, and I keep my teachings very diverse. So obviously, yeah, if you're doing a competition class, it'll always be a competition class. If you're doing a fundamentals class, it will always be fundamentals. But, sometimes if you're doing like an all levels class or something, sometimes there's more drilling, sometimes there's less, sometimes there's more rolls, sometimes it's specific training, sometimes it's not. Like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right. And after that second class, he had said to me, oh, is it always like that? The first class was a bit more, I kind of like just a bit more of that going hard. And I was like, yeah, that's all good. But, there's a lot to learn. It's very easy to get injured when you're just thrown straight into doing 10-minute rounds or whatever. So, some classes it's way more drilling, others it's not, depends on the time, the day, which class you're turning up to, blah, 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 blah. And I said, but it won't always be like that, like an hour of drilling, So he was like, oh, okay, good to know. It was almost like he was coming to me saying, have I turned up to the wrong class? Because, and
he's a young dude. He wants to get after it. He wants to fucking like get in there with the boys and like fucking get after it. You know what I mean? I could see that in his eyes.
So back to you. He was partnered up with you.
Yeah, he partnered up with me, like didn't know me. and was like, yeah, don't go easy. I'm looking at him and I'm like, all right.
And this was no gi as well.
Yeah,
this was no gi
yeah,
as
dude.
well. So there
we're
weren't any grips to slow things down.
Nah, man, there was
how
nothing
to
slowing down.
go for Lucas?
I didn't go hard on him. Like, I just want to put that out there. If I went hard on him, he probably wouldn't come back. But I was like, all right, I'm just going to sub him like as many times as I can in like 3 minutes and then see how he feels. So I think I got him like around 5 or 6 times. And then by the end of it, he was just tapping to nothing. Like he just didn't want to bar of it. And then like halfway through the roll, it was like a 5-minute roll. So he's like, all right, we can go easy now. So yeah, I thought so, bro.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like, we don't have a culture in the gym where it's like, oh, beat up the new guy.
Not at all.
We don't have that culture
Not
at
at
all.
all.
So, I know that wasn't like you went, okay, I'm going to bash this dude.
No, not even.
I mean, I had a white belt, Mikey, the older guy, older-ish, in his mid-40s or whatever. He's super keen, and he was like, we had our first roll together a while ago, and he's like, all right, Ads, bring it, let's go. And I was like, Mikey,
you don't want me to bring it,
I said,
bro.
you're not ready for that,
No.
And I don't know, I just tapped him like, I don't know, a few times or whatever, and he went home to his wife and his kids train as well. And he's like, oh my God, he got murdered, he destroyed me. I was like, I wasn't even trying, Mikey.
There's levels, son.
But yeah, Lucas is super keen, and it's not like from that, little air quotes bashing, he didn't come back. Like that's what he wanted, right?
Yeah,
and
it was what he
was
asked
a
for.
respectful let's go hard.
Yeah. And I remember like from the first clinch, he was like, fuck, you're strong. I'm like, bruh. Bro, you just wait. Like, you don't know what's coming. Oh, it's good times. Good times.
So training smarter, not harder. What do you think about it? Do you think it's as simple as that phrase?
That's a good question. No, I don't think it's as simple as like, only train, with a spreadsheet and a, scientifically memorized fucking training protocol and all that good gear. But I think that the train smarter, not harder is in its essence, taking it on surface value. I agree with it.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, because if you flip it and you said train harder, not smarter.
Yeah, it would sound ridiculous.
I mean, that sounds, yeah, exactly. Sounds ridiculous. But I think some people take it too far the other way with thinking, oh, train smarter, not harder. So they just turn it into this, almost like this theoretical puzzle or whatever. Yeah. And it's all about, like you said, the spreadsheets and doing this and that and X amount of repetitions of this.
Sometimes you need to get after it. Nah, totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to train smart, but even that alone, what does it mean to train smart, right? Well, it could be, you could look at it lots of different ways. Training smarter could be, making sure you're doing that you're stretching and doing mobility work and making sure you've got a good diet and making sure you're getting plenty of sleep. Like that is training smart, or that's training intelligently, because it's not, when you think about training, it's not just the time that you're on the mat. Actually, a video popped up recently, and I believe it was Matt Fraser. And I mean, I don't follow CrossFit, but
World
I know
number one CrossFit.
Yeah,
athlete,
I mean,
Matt Fraser.
Yeah, I think he's the one who took over once Rich Froning retired. I believe, like Matt Fraser. I don't know if he still competes or if he's retired, or I don't know.
I think he still competes. I'm not sure.
Anyway, if you don't know who Matt Fraser is, type him into Google. He's the most dominant CrossFit athlete. And regardless of what you think about CrossFit,
he's undeniable.
Bro,
he is absolutely undeniable. The man's a specimen.
Anyway, I saw a little video came up, and he essentially said something along the lines of, "Oh, I can't believe sleeping isn't a banned substance," as in saying the importance of sleep for recovery to be able to train properly. And, he went on about like his nighttime routine. Oh, at whatever time I don't eat after this time, or I don't drink after this time, or, I don't use screens after this time, and I've got blackout curtains and, all this sort of stuff, to do with going to bed and waking up, and essentially being like, I can't believe, this isn't a banned substance. It's so crucial to your, recovery, right? But recovery is part of training. You can't just have, one or the other, right? So training smarter, you can look at it in that way. Like I said, diet, sleep, all that. But then there's also the side of it that we've spoken about on previous episodes of intentional training, deliberate training, like intelligently focusing on a particular thing that you want to work on and improve on. And I would have said this in previous episodes, but to give a very generalized rookie mistake, analogy. Right?
Send it.
Yeah, right? And I always say, I really like to simplify my my analogies if I'm especially speaking to beginners, right? And I'll say because the average person by the time they come along to jiu-jitsu has probably at least once or twice in their life had a gym membership. Not all the time, but majority of people, at least that come into my gym, they for a period of time had a gym membership to Anytime Fitness or Fitness First. These are chain just weights gyms, if you will, in Australia. And I'll say something along the lines of, well, when you walk into the gym to do a workout, do you just walk in and go, oh, let's do a couple of bicep curls. I'll go over there, run on the treadmill for 2 minutes, and then I guess I'll do 5 reps on the bench press. No, right? You might not be following a professional, workout routine that's been written specifically for you by a trainer, but I guarantee you're at least walking in there going like, oh, I'm doing, let's say the classic, biceps and back, or today's leg day. You would at least know that. Probably even more than that, you would know the exercises you're doing and some idea of the reps and the weight or whatever. Again, maybe not a professional program that's been written for you, but you're not going to just be walking in going, I'm in here, I'll just fuck around.
Yeah.
Right? You would, today I'm going to the gym to do cardio. I'm going to, do 5Ks on the treadmill or something. You'd have an idea of what you're doing, right?
Yeah, totally.
And
you should anyway.
You should, right? I don't think many people just walk into a weights gym and just go, yeah, right? But people do with jiu-jitsu, right? And I think it's because they feel like so much of the training is out of their control. And I guess a lot of it is. And what do I mean by that? Well, when the class starts, like the warm-up's out of your control. I mean, technically the warm-up's not out of your control because you could arrive 5-10 minutes earlier and do your own warm-up, right? Which I think is important because the same sort of the parts of your body that you have niggles with and that you feel need more attention are going to be different to mine, right? So the chance that the class's warm-up ticks every single box that you need to warm up and that student needs to warm up and that student needs to warm up are slim to none unless you want the warm up to take 45 minutes, right? So why not, so the warm up you could argue is in your control, but let's just say for argument's sake that, from the time the class starts and ends, you as a student, the warm up's out of your control, the techniques are out of your control. How many rounds you're rolling, what the format is, that's all out of your control. This is all things the instructor structures. However, when you're rolling, when you get to that portion of the class, and okay, sometimes the technique is in your control. It might be a class where it's open drilling, as in you get to drill what you want or whatever, but let's take your standard class warm-up technique rolling. So people feel like it's not in their control and then they get to so they've gone through the warm-up just kind of fucking about, for lack of a better term, doing what they're told. They're doing the drilling, just doing what they're told, right? Then they get to the rolling and they just kind of fuck around. But the rolling's the portion of the training where you have autonomy. Okay, not all the time. Sometimes you're doing specific stuff when it's rolling. But, if you're just doing 5-minute rounds, 10-minute rounds or whatever, this is when the autonomy comes in where, okay, now this is your equivalent to walking into Fitness First or Anytime Fitness. Train intelligently, work on what you want to be working on. And we've spoken about this. This is deliberate training, right? Having a focused approach opposed to just doing a few bicep curls and some push-ups and now, jump on the Stairmaster. But I think, like I said, it comes from this feeling of, well, I'm just a student in a class, so I'm just working on I'm just doing what I'm told. No, right? Like if you went to school to learn a language, you're going to have, imagine if at the end of every class you had a 20-minute period where it's like, okay, now you're going to practice the part of the language that you're struggling with the most or whatever. You have that period of time where you're not just along for the ride. Mm. And yeah, we've spoken about that a lot before, deliberate training. And I think that is the bit I lean towards the most when I think about training smarter, at least for me.
Completely agree. When it comes to jiu-jitsu, I think you've nailed it because a lot of it is out of your control, but a fucking lot of it is in your control.
Yeah,
at the same time.
I think more than people realize is in their control.
And you've spoken about, I think it was the episode on a specialist versus an all-rounder. Like, you could go, if you go into your jiu-jitsu training like, hey, the next 3 months, I am working on my pressure passing system, or I'm working on deep half guard, or I'm working on leg entanglements. You're not always going to get to those positions.
That's right.
But if you start working on them, you're going to start to see entries into your preferred whatever you're working on, and it's going to open up more opportunities. You're going to be able to force yourself in those positions more than you normally would. But you can always get paired up with like someone 2 belts higher than you, and then they're going to most likely be imposing their game on you. And there's nothing you can really do about that. You just got to do what you can. But there is a lot within your control, and that definitely falls under the category of training more intelligently, training smarter.
Yeah. The more I think about surfing and jiu-jitsu, the more sort of parallels and analogies I find. And it's actually quite interesting because an old student of mine, his name's Ethan Davis, who is a really good surfer, not a professional surfer, but he's a very good, he does local competitions and stuff like that. He's a good surfer. He writes for a surf magazine. I always forget whether it's called Stab or Slab.
Probably Slab.
I know, but I'm thinking
surely
it
not
might be
Stab.
I know, that's why. But now I'm thinking that maybe it is Stab.
Imagine getting a subscription to Stab. This is what I signed up for. Where's the stabbing? So it's like a surf magazine based out of Byron Bay.
No, it is Stab.
Wow, that's weird. Yeah, and for those that aren't familiar, Byron Bay is like internationally known for having some of the best surf in the world. So
yeah, I mean, or at least that part of the coast, like Byron and north and south of Byron.
Yeah, totally.
It's a very beachy town. But he wrote an article about the sort of, and he interviewed me for it. I don't think he even quoted me in the interview, so fuck you, Ethan. But no,
probably got edited out.
Yeah, maybe.
His editor's like, "Oh, this guy's fucking." This
but
guy's
I remember
full of shit.
we had a phone call about it, speaking about some of the parallels between surfing and
which is ironic because you can't surf.
That's right. I'm yet to learn how to swim,
and your jiu-jitsu is questionable as well. So
bro, once I outgrew floaties, I was like, "Well, I'm fucked now." Yeah, and. So I give lots of analogies with surfing. I say to beginners, it's like, when you're in the beginning, it's like I've handed you a surfboard and I said, go catch a wave, and you don't even know how to swim yet. It's very overwhelming. But you can have, lots out of your control, but a lot's in your control. It's the same with surfing. Like with jiu-jitsu, you can only control yourself. Okay, yes, you can control your opponent, but you can only mentally, you can only control what you're doing, and you're working with a partner with another thing that does whatever it wants. And it's the same in surfing, right? Like you're working with a wave or the water or the ocean or whatever that you have no control over. And so you can have this deliberate, intelligent training. And like you said, I'm working on half guard, deep half or whatever, and you might not always end up there, but you're still going to be working on other stuff. Imagine if you were a surfer and you were like, oh man, today I'm going to, I really want to improve my, my right handers, as in like, my rights, catching waves that go right. But maybe not a lot of rights are breaking, and more, if you're just at a beach break or whatever, and maybe more lefts are breaking, and, you're going to work with what you got. Or, oh man, I want to practice my, my airs, and maybe the waves aren't breaking, and not every single wave is going to break exactly the same. Like it's not always going to be there, but you're still surfing, you're still catching waves, you're still whatever, so you're going to have a deliberate, focused approach, but you're still forced to work on other shit.
Yeah, totally.
At the same time. So it's not like you're then, I'm only gonna get better at this. You're still gonna get better at the other stuff, but you're just given a leg up to this one particular area that needs more help or that you want to give more attention to.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when we look at train smarter, not harder, I think the issue that maybe some people might gravitate toward in that phrase, like maybe yourself, I might be speaking for you here, but the not harder portion, the word not harder. So it's implying that you should not be training hard.
Yeah.
That's where I have an issue with this. Like, I know we're like breaking it out a bit too much. Like, come on, guys, like, holy shit.
Yeah, semantics.
Yeah, semantics. And maybe, but it's important, I think, because I think that training hard is important. But depending on how hard you're training, it may be important for another area. It may not necessarily be important for your development, as in like, you know, you're only going to get better during your really hard training sessions. That's not necessarily the case. But there's something to be said about training hard for mental fortitude, resilience.
Yes, 100%. So that's my issue with it. And I've actually spoken to people who are quite, you know, almost really embrace the not hard, as in that they think that training harder is detrimental to your training. And it's almost like that phrase should be trained smarter and harder, you know?
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, probably.
Because for me, there's, you know, there's a period of time where I had heaps of friends that were like, oh man, this is like such an outdated way to do it. Like they think that just by going hard and whatever, they're going to get better and this and that. And okay, yeah, some things you're going to take a more theoretical, scientific approach to, you know, whether it's the theoretical side of jiu-jitsu or a scientific approach to recovery or getting stronger and the repetitions and rest time and all whatever. Yes, but man, for me, the value that comes with just going hard and the mental fortitude, like you said, the resilience that comes with it, the confidence that comes with it, you know, like I feel better, stronger, faster if I'm in shape, just doing heaps of like really hard rounds. Even if, man, just super hard scrambles. Like, why do you think wrestlers are so tough? Like just tough dudes.
Fucking tough.
It's because the training is so hard. I'm not saying it's not smart. It's very smart. But I mean, anyone who has wrestled or knows wrestlers or has trained with wrestlers would know how hard wrestling is. Man, the average wrestling warm-up will break most jiu-jitsu dudes. Like it's just fucking hard, you know? And
hard training makes hard men and women. So
yeah, is that a thing?
No, sort of.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I just meant like, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just wasn't sure if that was like some quote, some Goggins sort of thing or whatever.
Whatever.
But yeah, like, I mean, I think just training hard, man, until you break is super important. And I think it's pretty.
But not every week, obviously.
Of course, you can't do it every day. And of course, like you're not going to, I'm going to, it's worth tearing my rotator cuff because the mental fortitude. No, right? That's just stupidity.
Yeah.
But
we just don't, I think the whole summary of this, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't want to not train hard because like you're trying to train smart instead. It's not one or the other. It's both.
Yeah.
Your predominant training should be training smarter. You should be considering recovery. You should be, you know, not going fucking balls to the wall every single roll, trying to be a hero, you know, as though your life depends on it every single time. However, don't shy away from the hard sessions.
Well, I mean, I would say, well, here we go. The most important word in this phrase would be
train.
Yeah. No, it would be the smarter aspect of it, because if you know how to correctly train, if you know how to intelligently train, then you know how to train harder, right? Like, yeah, it's not one or the other. Intelligent training includes knowing how to train like a fucking beast, right? Like it's so important. And I see it all the time when I try to push my students really hard and they break. And I keep saying to them, man, you're not even like, no, like you got to keep going, get up, keep going. And let's say they're newer students who are preparing for their first ever competition, let's say, for example. And okay, there's nothing like the experience of actually competing, but you're trying to prepare them for that first ever experience. And I'll push them like they've never been pushed, and they think that it's the most brutal training they've ever done or whatever. Then they go compete, and afterwards they say to me, man, I thought that I was fit and ready. Like I didn't realize how much harder that is. And, oh man, what I learned from that is that I need to train more. I need to train harder. I need to be fitter if I want to compete again. I'm like, yeah, man, like you got, like
that's what we've been saying.
Yeah, it's such an important part of it. You can't just be like, but how did I gas out in 1 minute? I've been so intelligent about my training. I've been watching so many instructionals. I don't get it. Man, you got to just
so true.
Fucking get after it.
Yeah. Yeah. You need sessions like that. Fuck, I thought we were going to disagree, man, but we're like agreeing with everything. This is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
you know what?
Just I don't like your face.
Just for the sake of it, I disagree. Fuck training hard. No, I completely fucking agree. And I think once you've had those sessions that you're like, everyone has, surely if you've trained for long enough, you've had those sessions where you're like, I didn't think I was going to make it. Like that stays with me for a long time. Like if you can remember a session you had 6 months ago, chances are that it was fucking hard.
Yeah.
So everyone's had those sessions. Those sessions allow you to, when you're going into that hurt locker again, it's not new territory. I think that's really important.
And I think it's been very well documented. There's no way you can train the mental. The thing that is standing between training the mental side of any sort of physical adversity that you need to push through, I guess, is when we're talking about like a sport, right? I'm not talking about, just to clarify, I'm not talking about someone who has, like a broken leg and like, what you got to do. No, just talking about, it's been well documented that in the military, right? The way that you can't get to the mental side of training until you first break the physical, and that's why you see, not all military training, but why when you get to those very elite squads, just excuse my ignorance, but whatever, the Navy SEALs or whatever are the elite of the elite in whatever country's military they're called, where it's, like a 90% fail rate or something, that's why you see these videos, what looks like essentially torture, these dudes doing, man, the most abusive training. And I get it. I get that some people are like, that's abuse and you can't treat people like that. But at the same time,
they're volunteers.
Well, that's it. They can tap out whenever they want, right? But yeah, you can only get to the mental side until you got to first break the physical side.
Yeah. Right.
Before you can be able to learn how to push through with the mental side. And that's why, that's why that's why they do it in the military. And that's why you have to be kind of put through that punish in the gym as well, in my opinion, if you want to get mentally tough and when you want to be able to still function when you start to physically break down.
Yeah. It's not new. Like, I think there's something comforting. It's a gift and a curse. And I've spoken about this when I spoke about like my second comp was more, I was more nervous than my first because I knew what to expect. But at the same time, it's sort of comforting because you've made it. You've been there before.
Yeah.
It's not new. Like you've been in that hurt locker.
Yeah, it's funny because yes and no, right? It's comforting, but it's also a curse. So I'll tell you a couple of things that I've done and do in the gym that is, yes, comforting for the mental side of your training, but also a curse. So let's say whenever I'm doing some sort of training consistently, I personally find it like harder to push. Whereas if I've only got to do it once, it's easy to push. So let's say, for example, I'm doing something like stair sprints and it's something I do 3 times a week, every week.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to have, a standard amount of repetitions I do of the set of stairs or whatever. But let's say it's a workout that I'm just throwing in. And I might push a little bit harder and maybe I normally only do 5 sets. Whenever I've done these set of stairs throughout my life, I've only ever done 5 sets, right? And then on this particular training, I push through and I do 6, right? And then it's like, yeah, but then also you've got this thing in the back of your mind, and you're like, fuck, I've just proved what I'm capable of. So now next time when I do 5, I know I'm bitching out because I know I can do 6. And, that's a mental battle that I have. I don't know if other people have that, but I think they do, because what I do in the gym sometimes, I haven't done this training in a long time actually, but I'll do something like, what was it that I did? I did it all. It's been a while actually, but it'll be
in my calendar, bro. Just tell me what you're talking about.
Yeah, you'll find it for me.
Bro.
So it'll be something like this. Okay, like you're going to partner up and we're doing, speed drilling, which I think is something that's super valuable. Okay, speed drilling. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially, drilling a technique that you know relatively well to try to increase the speed that you can do it at. So instead of having like, 3 minutes on the clock and just practice your knee cut pass, like you're going to be doing, maybe a minute on the clock or maybe it's still 3 minutes. But I'm like, guys, I want every rep to be how you would do it in a roll. Like, I can put in Leandro Low knee cut and look how quick and explosive. Put in the Nicky Rod and Cyborg fight from last ADCC. Like I want you like, bam, like every rep, or shooting double legs. You can't just like, right. And what I'll do is I'll do something like, all right, guys, so we're going to have a mini competition, right? Partner up and you're going to do, knee cuts and we're going to see who can do the most in a minute. Right. So I'll trick all the students, which now, not all the students in the gym listen to the podcast. I know
this fucking trick now. Yeah.
But I'll trick all the students. I'll be like, guys, we're going to have a mini comp between all the pairs and see, who can get the most knee cuts in a minute. And I'll be like, all right, go. And then they'll do it. Okay. Then after the minute, I'll get everyone to tell their numbers and I'll go, okay, joke's on you. There wasn't a comp. Well, there is, but the competition's against yourself. We're now going to do, X amount more minute rounds. And now you've proved what you're capable of, So if I said to you, Kieren, how many knee cuts can you do in a minute? And I just want you to show me and you do whatever, let's just say you do 20, right? But if I had said to you, all right, Kieren, we're going to do 5 1-minute rounds of knee cuts.
And this is the benchmark. I would have gone half-ass. Yeah,
that's right. And I said, 100%. I want you to do as many as you can in each minute.
Yep.
You'd probably do 15 because even if you don't want to, you'll be pacing yourself. But if I trick you and make you think it's just 1 minute first, right? And now I've gone, okay, well, now I know you can do 20 in a minute. So you better hit 20 for every single next set.
Yeah, you used to do that with burpees and all. You've done all sorts of shit, but I know you trick now, you bastard.
I quite often, at least, I find I like to put consequence because I found that with the students in the gym, some of them are very good at just turning that mental switch on where I go, guys, like comp training, let's fucking go. Some people are very good at just turning that switch on and being like, all right, let's go hard, and other people not so much. So I like to put consequences on the line. So some of the things we do is something like, if we're doing one that I really like, nice and simple, all right, Kieren, you and I are going to roll. The only way to win it's not submission only. It's going to be whatever, a 10-minute round. But the only way to win is be up on submissions at the end of the round. So if we both had one submission, it would be a draw. If I subbed you 5 times, but you subbed me 6 times, you would win. Points don't matter. The only way to win is sub discrepancy. We each start the round with 5 burpees each in our pocket. If at the end it's a draw, we each do our 5 burpees. If at the end I won, you do my 5. So you have to do 10 in total. And if you won, I would have to do 10 in total. That's one I like to do to put consequences on the line. Another one I like to do is just saying like, all right, however many points are scored on you, that's how many burpees you've got to do. Something that makes people be like, oh man, I would prefer to put in the physical effort right now in the role that I'm doing because that's going to be less painful than what I'll have to do if I don't. I like that trick to sort of, not it's trick, but just an incentive to be like, guys, like I need you to go,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's inconsequential. It's in like 10 burpees isn't going to kill you. It's not like, the consequence is you lose a leg, but it's enough. Putting something on the line is enough. Like you've probably analogy time. You've probably played poker with your mates before. And when you're playing poker with like chips and if there's no actual money involved, it could be so insignificant. But people, play kind of like silly. They go all in on silly hands because there's no consequences. So it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like poker with no money is boring. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't play poker, but I agree.
If you had $5 $5, that's it, in the pot, and you stood a chance of winning $25 or whatever, depending on obviously how many people. It's insignificant, but as soon as a dollar value is associated with that and you actually get something for winning, then it's so much more fun. It's so much more rewarding because there's consequences for your actions. Yeah. There's consequences for losing. And it's the same here.
Yeah. And so like I said, some people can just switch on, but other people can't. But it does remind me of probably one of the hardest roles I've ever had in my life. I've only just recently remembered this story in preparation of this episode. One of my friends back in Brazil, Bruno, we were, I think, both blue belts at the time. And I remember, I don't know, super nice dude. Like, we're still friends. I mean, I don't speak to him very often because we're in different countries and it's just how life goes. But if I ran into him tomorrow, we wouldn't skip a beat. Super nice dude, got on really well together, trained together and everything. But at this time there was, I don't know, we partnered up to roll and I can't remember why or how, but there was just this, like, it's fucking on, dude, with zero animosity, right? And we went so hard. I can't remember how the role played out, but I remember once the timer finished, I think I had lost the role or whatever, whether it was points or if he subbed me. Bruno was definitely at that point in time better than me, for sure. Even though, like, I was bigger than him, like, and heavier than him, like, he was definitely better than me. I like to think I got his number now, right? But maybe not. I don't know.
We'll see.
He's got those Brazilian genes. But anyway, he was definitely better than me. And yeah, but I remember after the round ended, and I was like, let's go again. And he was like, okay. And I remember when he tells the story as well, because we've spoken about it since. He was just like, bro, like, when you wanted that next round, holy shit, it was just like, it was. You know that meme of it's from a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and that the black guy who
the handshake.
Yeah, I believe it's the actor. I don't know his name, who plays the guy in Happy Gilmore who gets his hand bitten off by the crocodile.
I have no idea, man.
No, anyway, I believe it's that actor, and people have made a meme where they walk up and they shake hands
and they're just like.
Yeah, but have you seen the one where it cuts to a? Have you? Oh man!
Now explaining memes is so difficult.
People. I wonder if will I be able to get away with playing this audio? Or
no, definitely not. Don't play any audio. You make my job 10 times harder. So I have to fucking edit it out.
Arnold.
So we're talking about a meme. I'm pretty sure I know the one where they both go to shake hands and they're like trying to outmuscle each other with the handshake. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the meme is like the biceps, and they're going at each other.
What's it from Predator? Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But I'll show you after. There's a funny one where that's turned into into a meme. But anyway, it's kind of like that. Like our hand, it was like the roll.
Yeah.
Or it was like, Dragon Ball Z where two like fireballs are being cast at each other. It was like, like this big atomic blast. I remember it was. I mean, I've never puked from a workout.
Oh, I have, yeah.
But I remember that being one of the, I don't know, I've never replicated that role since. I mean, I've had super hard roles since then, but it's still one of my favorite memories of my time in Brazil actually was that incredibly punishing role.
Wow.
It was so good.
I've had some tough roles. I mean, when you were telling the story, I've had similar roles with Toby. Like, we've just rocked in and both of us just wanted it, and we're like, yep. And it's an unspoken agreement. We're just like, yeah, this is on. Like, this is going to be rough, and we're going hard. And I've had sessions where we did the first roll and then we did the last roll. Those are tough. Yeah. Those are tough because whoever won the first one is trying to settle the score in the last one.
That's right. Yeah,
so whenever you roll someone twice in the one session, it's fucking on.
That's right.
It's like the go-to. But I think
I tell you, it's on when I call you for a second roll, like straight away.
Yeah, you've done that once.
You can tell it's because I wasn't happy with how the first roll played out, and whether it's because I don't know, there'll be something in that roll. Maybe it was a submission, a pass, a sweep. Maybe it was a sweep that I failed, whatever it was, but there'll be something I wasn't happy about. And that's one of the few times I definitely use the whole like unspoken pulling rank thing.
Yeah.
Where, then you've moved off to go with someone else. And I'll be like, nah, man, Kieren's with me again.
I remember exactly what you said to me the one time you did that. You said, I got some good news. I got some bad news. Good news is that's a really good role. Bad news is we're going again. It's like out of a movie, bro. I'm like, fuck you. Because in my mind, I remember thinking, like, thank God that's over. Like, you know when you were saying,
what,
like,
can you remember what happened? I do remember that.
Remember what
I do remember.
Of course I remember what happened.
But what happened in the role?
I caught you with a heel hook.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, no, would it
Was it heel hook? No, I caught you with a choke.
With my big heels.
No.
Not those,
I'm
not
confusing
those
roles because they were like like they were close in time frame.
Oh, I get heel hooked all the time.
No,
Whenever
I
play
caught you.
footsies.
I caught you in a RNC.
How did I let that happen?
I don't know. You were not happy about it. Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah. That was the first time ever.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, and you're like, that was good. It was in no gi. I don't know. I think I just caught you, just jumped you back, and it just got it.
Yeah. It's funny because yesterday, so like you would know, like it's not like every single roll I roll as if it's competition or like let's go straight out the bat or whatever. And was it not last night, the night before? I was so I have two funny anecdotes. So I was rolling with Jonas, who's one of our students who is very aggressive, not as in like fuck you. Aggressive is in he's just
hunting the sub.
He's just non-stop attacks.
Yep.
Like which is such a good quality.
Yeah.
Then we start the roll and I just kind of like went, and I'm sitting down, so about to play guard, and he's standing up and I was just like, oh yeah, high five knuckles. And he was just like, wham, and he just like jumped a mounted triangle on me.
Holy shit.
I was like, God damn it. I was like, oh shit, that came out of nowhere.
That's awesome.
But man, I was rolling with Nicholas last night. It was fucking hilarious. So I was rolling with Nicholas and we're rolling.
He's a blue belt, yeah.
He's a blue belt. We're rolling no gi. And anyway, like Nicholas is much smaller than me and a blue belt, right? Not saying that blue belts can't give you a hard roll, but he's much smaller than me. And so I'm kind of just like rolling with him. Nicholas is very good. I'm just like rolling with him, blah, blah, blah. And like I sweep him, pass him or whatever. And then I can tell him he starts throwing up a buggy choke. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm just kind of like chilling in side control. And I was like, it wasn't like I let him do it, but I thought in my mind, I was like, oh, I wonder if he even can, because Nicholas is much shorter than me. I was kind of curious, like, oh, I wonder if he's even actually going to be able to close his legs. And then he locked it in and then I went to chuckle to myself to be like, oh, he got it. And then as I like kind of breathed out, right, my mouth just like blew a full on raspberry on his belly. Like it just went and then I was like, and then I started laughing hilariously because I blew a raspberry on his belly. And as I took a big breath in after laughing so hard, his rash guard just went, and then I was like, what?
Did you tap?
Yeah. Oh, bro, it was super funny. It was hilarious. I was like, I've, and then at the end of class, I was like, all right, guys, so what we learned today? Blowing raspberries doesn't get you out of buggy chokes. Don't try it.
That's gross. Your rash guard is like when you're doing top heavy pressure has sucked into my mouth like that so many times.
It's like you're getting
gross.
waterboarded.
Oh yeah, it's so gross.
Yeah, but it was quite funny. Going back to talk, we briefly spoke about the preparing for first competitions and how you have to train harder and whatever. I want to give a shout out to one of my students who also listens to the podcast, rocks our rash guard actually.
Hey.
And John T had his first competition, and man, he did really well. But I'm gonna make a little bit of fun of you, John T, and it's all in love. It's because I love you, and you did really well, man. He was probably the most nervous I've ever seen someone rock up to a competition. Bro, he was shitting bricks. And I feel really bad because I didn't stay for his match. Like he was really late in the day and, I had already been there.
Yeah.
And then there was like a big window between one of the students' fights and then the next bunch of fights. And I was like, man, I got to go look after my son. Like it wasn't Sunday. I just couldn't be there all day for that particular one. So I do feel really bad. But when he arrived, holy shit, he was so nervous, bro. Poor Jonty, man. Jonty, I love you. You did awesome. He comes up to me and he's like, so if I'm like in a Kimura, are they allowed to break my arm? And I'm like, yeah, bro. I'm like, yeah, bro. Like,
it's encouraged.
yeah,
It's encouraged.
I'm like, well, if you don't tap, and he's like, well, how do I know when to tap? I say, well, when your arm's about to break.
How do I know when to tap? He's like reverted to it. Like,
yeah, dude, it was like he forgot everything.
Wow.
And then he said to someone else, he was like, so like if I get to put to sleep, do I wake up?
No, bro, you sleep forever.
No, you go and skis. Yeah, poor dude. But man, he did awesome. And then
That's so good.
I watched the video of his fight, and I was really proud of him. You know, it wasn't very often. And Jonty hasn't been training that long. I always forget with the in and out of lockdowns of COVID and whatever. I can't remember if he started before lockdowns or not. But anyway, maybe 6 months, maybe less. He's 2 or 3 stripes on his white belt. And yeah, man, he did really well. Very often you see in a white belt competition, especially if it's their first comp, just very like spazzing and just like, no, it wasn't.
Grips
it wasn't like that at all. Like I watched the recording of his fight.
So he actually did jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, he did. It was
awesome.
I mean, it was just a good white belt match. You know, he unfortunately lost the match, but that doesn't matter. You know, I say to all my students for their first comp, man, I don't care if you get subbed in 2 seconds. I honestly don't care. Not because I don't care about you, but because at this point, the result is not important. It's making weight, like doing your registration, rocking up, shaking the ref's hand, walking out onto mat.
Having the balls to fucking go.
Yeah, all that is experience.
That's understated, man. Like, because a lot of people, and even people at our gym, you know, they don't compete for whatever reason, they don't like it. But there's some people that have never competed, and maybe they're a blue belt or whatever. And I think at some point, you got to really look at yourself and be like, you know, do I even have the balls to get out there?
Yeah, and you know, I say, well, they go, oh, I lost my first match. I'm like, yeah, you still beat everyone who didn't register.
100% you did.
You know, which sounds like a lame.
No, it's true.
Thing to say,
it's so true. This is a call out. Everyone at our gym that's never competed before at blue belt, you're wimps.
You suck.
You're scared.
Yeah.
Stop being so scared. What are you scared for?
Yeah, I mean, just do it. See, John.
Come on, Rob. You never competed, bro. Why are you scared? You're scared, bro. He's just scared.
Yeah, I think he's on a boat at the moment.
I don't care. He's scared.
But Jonty came out of that with no broken arm, and he was not put to sleep. He did great. The footage was just a white belt match, just a good white belt match. There was no like, oh my god, this is like
painful to watch.
This is like spaz territory. No, you know, and he. I can't remember exactly how it played out, but like he, you know, got his back taken and did a proper back escaped the back, and like it was a good match, you know. So, but yeah, it was just funny how nervous he was, but yeah, afterwards he said it was awesome, best experience of his life, and he can't wait for the next one.
Perfect.
You know, so, what a boss, Jonty. There's some other little sort of points I want to go over. I've personally kind of wrapped up my talking about training smarter versus harder.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we can explore that further detail. Like, I do want to do an episode how to train smarter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like
that's not what this was about. Like, this was really more about like, hey, don't forget to train hard, you little bitch. No, but yeah. So yeah, let's talk about some ADCC news.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Lucas Lepre pulled out of ADCC.
Injury, right?
No, that's not what I heard.
Oh, I haven't. I just assumed. I just saw the ADCC post yesterday.
Right. Yeah. So you just kind of default to thinking, if anyone at this stage is pulling out, they probably got injured. Yeah, it would be a good assumption to make. I read his post in Portuguese. I don't know if he put one up in English.
I thought you were about to say, I don't know if you speak Portuguese.
Oh, I've heard you try to pronounce Portuguese, bro.
I have a fear about mispronouncing people's names or like misremembering people's names. So I think that I was thinking about this morning, ironically. I was looking at some of our previous episodes, and I think that because I have that like weird irrational fear that it makes it worse when I go to pronounce names, I just like default for it to be really bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you just lean into it.
Yeah, lean into my fucking fear and make it exacerbate it. But anyway.
Opposed to pronouncing it really poorly, but trying to pronounce it correctly, you're just like, nah, just lean in to be real shit at it.
So anyway, Lepre.
Was that a correct attempt or taking the piss attempt?
Just leaning, bro. Just leaning.
It's like I don't know. I don't know which is correct because now I've heard. Well, it's Lepre, right? But now a different word. So one of the most famous beaches in the world, but especially in Australia, is Bondi Beach, right? It's one of the most famous beaches in the world.
Yeah.
And my dad always pronounces it Bondi. And I'm like, Bondi?
How do you pronounce it?
Bondi.
Oh, okay. That's pretty much the same pronunciation. It's just different inflection. Okay.
Yeah, which is very, very important.
Oh, yeah, sort of. But that's fucking minute. Like, okay. Whenever I say, you know the TV show Breaking Bad. Apparently I pronounced that wrong. It's not Breaking Bad. It's Breaking Bad. It's the same fucking thing, right? I'm saying the same thing.
Sorry, say it again.
So I say it Breaking Bad. And whenever I say that in front of my fiance, she's like, no, it's Breaking Bad. She puts the inflection on bad. And she's, why are you saying it like Breaking Bad? You know what I mean? She's like, why are you always like Breaking Bad?
Breaking Bad?
Yeah, Breaking Bad. But that's how I say it, Breaking Bad. So I go Breaking Bad and go down.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is some shit tier podcasting.
But it does make a difference, especially for Portuguese, it's super important.
Yeah, it would change the meaning of the word.
Yeah. So
the meaning of the phrase.
Like, for example, I'll give you this, right? So I'll give you the same word. It's actually spelt differently, but it's going to sound the same. So the word, if I say comi, or if I put the inflection on the last syllable, comi, they mean two different things, right? So like inflection is super important.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, like, what do you say, Bondi or Bondi?
Bondi.
Yeah, Bondi, right?
Yeah, it's Bondi. It's not Bondi.
Yeah.
That's like saying Bond. Yeah. But it's Bondi.
No, inflection is super important.
I agree.
Well.
Inflection is super important.
Yeah.
But fuck off. Breaking Bad is how I say it. Shut up.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think. There's heaps of words that would be like, you know, really, really important.
Yeah, it would change the meaning.
Like, I don't know.
Or even if you say like the way you say something like fuck off or fuck off.
Yeah.
Completely different. Well, completely different meaning.
Yeah, but that's different because there's not even multiple syllables there.
What do you mean? There's 2 syllables. Fuck off.
They're 2 words. They're 2 single syllable words.
Yeah, you run them together. Yeah. It's a phrase. Shut up.
Yeah.
Anyway, what did you find out from reading Lucas Lepri's Instagram post in Portuguese?
So he didn't really say much, actually. Like, he didn't give a specific reason other than, well, he gave a reason, but he essentially just said that he didn't have the time to train for it correctly, and that he, you know, that Mo and ADCC and his students and his friends and family and his fans and everyone, like, they deserve, if he's going to compete, they deserve
the best of him.
They deserve 100% Lepri and not some half-assed Lepri. And, you know, for that, he's decided to pull out. And, you know, he was really sad about it. Well, I mean, firstly, he doesn't have it. In our last episode, we spoke about ADCC, and I said how much I wanted Lepri to win this ADCC because it's the only title he doesn't have. So you could argue he does have more to prove, but he doesn't have anything.
Not as like his career-wise as in a competitor.
Right.
No one's expecting him to do anything. Like, no one's expecting something from him because he's
accomplished so much. The best lightweight in the world.
Yeah.
You know, 6-time world champion. He's got his own gym. He's got his wife and his daughter and everything.
Yeah.
And then someone else told me who they know who trains there. Said that he hadn't been coaching much, training much, sorry. He'd just been super focused on like his business and like his other, you know, his gyms that are opening and his family and everything. And I guess that's he's just fair. Done. Like, you know,
seems like he's done from competition. You know
he might be. Maybe I don't know if he's officially retiring now. Like,
maybe he should.
But, you know, I wouldn't have been surprised if he competed and then retired.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if he's, I don't want to say throwing in the towel because that assumes giving up. Like, he's, you know, Lepri would be mid-30s, and like I said, multiple-time world champion. You know, he's going on to that next phase of his career now.
But if he doesn't compete at this ADCC, I think, like we sort of said about a couple of people competing in this ADCC, this is probably the last time we're going to see them.
At least in this
ADCC,
level.
You know, an ADCC is like by default has become the biggest competition in the sport. So if he was like seriously pursuing his career as an active competitor, I would argue that he wouldn't be pulling out. So I'd say, I mean, without knowing anything else, and this is me being an armchair quarterback or Monday morning quarterback, whatever they call it, he's probably done. This is him throwing, like, you know, retiring.
Yeah, might be, which would be sad not to see him compete one more time, but, you know, he can't do it forever.
Yeah.
And also on ADCC news, so Robert Drysdale has, this is like a little news roundup. It could be like a segment. Yes. Robert Drysdale has apparently been going around messaging a lot of the Brazilians who are competing in ADCC, telling them to boycott it and not go because ADCC is just the Gordon Ryan show and whatever. He's got,
okay.
I can actually bring up the actual what here. Oh, it might have disappeared. Hang on. Did I screenshot it? Let me tell you, because I read the.
And for those that don't know, who's this Drysdale character?
It's gone. Fuck. The story's gone.
Who is this bloke?
Bro, Gordon Ryan hates him. So Robert Drysdale is I believe he won ADCC, didn't he? He's a 4th degree black belt. He's a MMA fighter, blah, 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 blah. I don't know his actual.
Is this like straight off his bio?
Yeah, he's won ADCC, submitted Marcelo Garcia. Oh my God. Someone's compared him to Michael Phelps, which is a joke. But anyway, like whether you like him or hate him, there's been some controversial stuff like of, fixing fights and stuff like that. Anyway, I couldn't be bothered going down that whole trash talky stuff. He's still a very good jiu-jitsu fighter, right? I know that by Gordon Ryan standards, he calls the second best person in the world not good at jiu-jitsu. So, to take that with the way you want. But anyway, his story has gone. I didn't screenshot it, but apparently has been sending around this message to a bunch of the Brazilians saying not to compete and we should boycott it. I was like, what a fucking piece of shit.
No one's going to boycott it.
No one. No. What? Oh, yeah, because some dude has told me not to go, I'm going to throw away one of the best opportunities in my life.
Yeah. I mean, that it's kind of silly to say that ADCC is just the Gordon Ryan show. Because, I mean, Gordon Ryan's in the super fight, right? And the Andre Galvao, Gordon Ryan super fight is what is the marketing value of that is what's driving the ADCC sales.
Yeah, that's right.
So why wouldn't you market it?
Yeah.
That's like saying that, say if you had a swimming, just to take the previous example of another athlete, say you had a swimming meet that Michael Phelps was competing at. And
why wouldn't you
use him to market it? And that's like saying, oh, boycott this swimming meet. It's just the Michael Phelps show. Yeah, well, yeah, he's one of the best swimmers in the world.
Yeah, that's right.
Gordon Ryan is one of the best jiu-jitsu, if not the best no-gi grappler in the world right now. So why wouldn't he be the marketing? Yeah. And if you're someone like, I mean, not to throw him under the bus, but like internationally renowned, he's not really there. He's Jeremy Skinner, right? If you're someone like Jeremy Skinner and you're going to ADCC, it's your first time, no one's going to know you. If, for whatever reason, if Jeremy was picked to be the marketing aspect of ADCC, everyone's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
it's not going to have the same weight. So for someone like Jeremy or any other Australian or anyone really that's competing at ADCC that doesn't have as much pull as Gordon Ryan, they benefit from that because more eyeballs are going to be on ADCC. Therefore, more eyeballs are going to be on all the competitors.
That's right. Yeah.
This guy is thinking about it as like a winners mentality, a zero-sum game. It's not a zero-sum game. Everyone benefits. It's through my pen. So mad. This is through my pen. Everyone benefits from this, but whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Pull your head in. You're washed up.
He can't pull his head in. His head's massive.
Mate, I think he just wants the attention. This is probably like a marketing thing. Don't forget about me. Don't forget about me today.
Yeah.
I'm Drysdale. Yeah, fuck you, dude.
I'm a Drysdale.
Don't even know who you are.
The last time you said that, we took a break and found out the dude died.
Yeah, dude. Fuck. Shit. Yeah, I regret that.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to mention, I don't think I'm going to bother because it's kind of flogging a bit of a dead horse. There's something that popped into my mind after an Instagram post that I saw, and we have other episodes on it, so I'm going to leave that news roundup.
This is like the weekly roundup with Adam Childs.
Yeah.
This could be a segment.
I'm going to leave it for another time, or we've spoken about it so much, it might just be an off-air discussion between me and my pretend friends.
Yeah. Tell them I said hi.
Oh, I thought you'd be there. Yeah.
Wait, are they pretend people or people that pretend to be your friends?
Look, I'll take either. I'm struggling to get either at the moment.
Yeah, fuck me.
Yeah, I know. It's like once I give a belt or a stripe and someone realizes that they're not due for a little while, they just stop picking up the phone.
Yeah.
Sad
I don't even have your number saved.
New phone, who dis?
Hello, Kieren speaking.
Oh, shit. Yeah, well, I think that might do it. I'll leave that story for another time, if at all. But yeah, let's start training smarter and harder.
Yeah, train hard.
Bro, you got to train hard.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, you just got to get after it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like,
You and David Goggins would get along well.
Yeah, bro. I reckon he's soft. He looks spongy.
Yeah, he ain't soft.
No, he's
Get
not.
hard. Get hard.
I remember hearing someone talking about like their favorite David Goggins story, and it was something to do with him running a marathon or something when, I don't know, his shoes fell apart or I don't know. It was just
bleeding.
It was just something.
There's a million of those with Goggins. He's done that fucking 1,000 times.
Yeah, where he just pretty much ended up in the ICU.
Yeah,
after the marathon.
Yeah,
or
both
something
his
like
knees
that.
get drained and he's still running. And
yeah,
bloody hell. All right, well, I think that's a good place to leave it. This was episode 107. Next episode, we have a very special guest on. We've already announced him, so stay tuned for 108, where we have Jordan from Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu. He is joining us on the podcast. We had an awesome conversation.
Although
when I say we, I mean I.
Yeah, I didn't get invited.
Adam wasn't invited. Fuck Adam.
No, just to clarify, I don't like Jordan. So I didn't know. No, it was Jordan's in Canada, in Toronto. Toronto?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, very close.
So the time zone thing, I mean, although
we recorded at like midnight.
Yeah. And by that time, I'm, for me to be here at Kieren's house, at that time I'm usually on the other side of his window.
Yeah.
Looking in.
Licking
so,
it. Yeah.
So, I mean, it would have been weird if I was inside.
Yeah, it would have just thrown you off.
Yeah. But I know we are going to do a future episode with him where it'll be.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Because this episode as well is kind of talking about some other unrelated.
A very specific theme.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the Beyond Jiu-Jitsu podcast and Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
I mean, it is because obviously you're there, but you guys have worked on a project together and you're going to be talking about that and everything. But we'll be hosting the podcast episode as well as on his platform. It'll be on both.
Yep.
And then at a future date, we'll have you and I and Jordan, the three of us doing like a
So we're having a
future episode.
A very first bonus episode, if you will, because we recorded 2 episodes and one of them is for Jordan's podcast, which is Jordan Talks Jiu-Jitsu. And that will be hosted on this platform, and both of the episodes will also be hosted on Jordan's platform. So, pick your poison wherever you want to listen to it.
Yeah, ideally on ours.
Ideally on ours. Fuck
help,
help brother out. He's
help the analytics, bro. Come on.
Drop a like. So that is coming next week. So this is a heads up if you listen to the episodes whenever they launch, which I know a lot of people do. That's a bit of a what's coming up.
Yeah, there you go. Nice outro.
Yep. And submit your questions for the episode 110. That is coming up very, very soon. We're recording that in about a week. Yeah. So I know we have some audio questions. So if you want to scrape yours in, I think we have enough room for 1 or 2 more. So submit your audio questions for the next Ask a Black Belt segment, which is episode 110.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. If you need anything, catch us on our Instagram. Otherwise, have a lovely day and we will catch you next week.